Have you ever noticed that there's a difference between wanting to prosper and allowing yourself to prosper? Because the truth is that most people seeking financial abundance don't have a problem with a lack of information. It's not a lack of strategy. It's not even a lack of effort. What truly prevents prosperity from arriving is something much deeper and more silent. It's the lack of inner permission to receive. And I'm not talking about conscious permission. You probably want to prosper. You want to have more money. You dream of financial security. But there's a very subtle part of you that still doesn't believe you can have this without suffering, without sacrifice, without paying too high an emotional price. There's a part of you that still thinks prosperity is for others, that wealth comes with burden, that receiving more means having to prove yourself more. And this blockage is not your fault. It was built over years, by phrases you heard, by experiences that taught you that money is hard to come by an entire culture that associates merit with excessive effort. But here's the truth that changes everything. Prosperity isn't about forcing. It's about allowing. And when you understand this, when you finally give yourself permission to thrive on the inside, the external world begins to reorganize itself around this new identity. Because money doesn't come to those who desperately chase after it. Money comes to those who are emotionally available to receive it. Now let's talk about what's really holding you back from prosperity. And it's not the market. It's not the economy. It's not external circumstances. What's hindering your prosperity is an emotional block that you carry without realizing it. It's their fault. The guilt of wanting more when other people have less. The guilt of desiring comfort when you've been taught that it's superficial. The guilt of wanting to prosper without having to suffer for it. And along with the guilt comes self-sabotage. You start something that could take you to another financial level, but suddenly you give up. You receive an opportunity, but you can't take full advantage of it. You earn more, but you spend unconsciously as if you need to get rid of that money quickly. Because deep down, there's an inner voice saying, you don't deserve this yet. And that voice isn't rational. It doesn't care about your efforts. It doesn't recognize how hard you've worked. It simply repeats, automatically, the same old belief. Wealth isn't for you. But where does this come from? It comes from all the times you saw someone close to you struggle financially and associated money with pain. It comes from all the times you were taught that good people don't care about money. It comes from all the times you felt you had to choose between being a good person or being prosperous. And worst of all, this blockage is invisible. You don't wake up in the morning thinking, today I'm going to sabotage my prosperity. No. You simply act in ways that keep you exactly where you are. You accept less than you deserve. You don't charge what you're worth. You don't position yourself in places where money flows more easily. And all of this happens because, emotionally, you still don't feel secure enough to thrive. Because deep down, you still believe that if you have too much, something bad might happen. That if you receive too much, you might lose something important. That wealth brings problems you're not ready to face. And as long as that fear is in control, prosperity will remain something distant, something you pursue but never truly reach. So how do you change that? How do you break free from this cycle of self-sabotage and finally allow prosperity into your life? The answer is simple, yet profound. You change your identity. Because prosperity isn't about what you do. It's about who you are. As long as you see yourself as someone who needs to fight for money, you will fight. As long as you see yourself as someone who only prospers through suffering, you will suffer. As long as you see yourself as someone who doesn't deserve wealth, you will find ways to push it away. But the moment you change how you see yourself, everything changes. And this change doesn't happen by forcing it. It doesn't happen by repeating empty affirmations. It doesn't happen by pretending you're already rich when emotionally you still feel poor. This change happens when you genuinely begin to treat yourself as a prosperous person. And that means stopping accepting less than your worth. It means stopping diminishing yourself to fit into small spaces. It means stopping acting like you need to prove you deserve to be in certain places. Truly prosperous people don't chase money. They create the internal conditions for money to come to them. And what is the main condition? Emotional security. When you feel secure inside, you don't act desperately. You don't accept any opportunity just because you're afraid another one won't come along. You don't sell yourself short because you believe that's all you can get. You position yourself, you choose, you expect what truly aligns with your values, and that changes everything. Because people can sense when you're secure. They can sense when you're not begging for attention, validation, or money. They can sense when you know your worth. And naturally, they respond to that. But here's the most important point. This identity change doesn't happen from the outside in. It doesn't happen when you earn more money. It happens before. You need to become thriving internally first. You need to give yourself permission to occupy that space. You need to stop waiting for the outside world to validate you. Because when you wait for money to arrive before you feel prosperous, you'll never truly prosper. You'll continue to depend on something external to feel good. And anything that depends on external factors is unstable. But when you build prosperity from within, when you become someone who is emotionally rich, money is just a natural consequence of that. And now, let's talk about the most important part of all this. Permission to receive. Because you can work hard, you can strive, you can do everything right externally. But if internally you don't allow yourself to receive, nothing will flow. And the truth is that most people don't know how to receive. They know how to give. They know how to make an effort. They know how to work hard. But when something good comes along, when the money appears, when an opportunity arises, there is internal resistance. There's a voice that says, "This can't be that easy," or "I haven't done enough to deserve this yet," or "If I accept this, I'll owe something in return." And this resistance hinders prosperity, because prosperity isn't about deserving in the traditional sense. It's not about proving you're good enough. It's not about earning the right to have more. Prosperity is about being available. It's about opening yourself up to receiving without guilt, without fear, without the feeling that you need to compensate for it in some way. And when you finally give yourself that permission, something magical happens. You stop blocking the flow. You stop rejecting opportunities because you think you're not ready. You stop downplaying your achievements because you're afraid of seeming arrogant. You stop unconsciously sabotaging yourself because you finally believe you can have it. And the most interesting thing is that this permission doesn't come from the outside. Nobody can give it to you. No coach, no course, no strategy will teach you how to allow yourself to receive. This is something only you can do for yourself. And how do you do that? You start small. You start by accepting compliments without making excuses. You start by receiving help without feeling indebted. You start by allowing good things to happen without needing to justify them. And gradually, you train your nervous system to understand that receiving is safe, that you don't need to pay an emotional price for it, that prosperity can be light, it can be natural, it can be yours. Because in the end, prosperity isn't about having more, it's about being more. It's about becoming someone who is at peace with abundance, someone who doesn't freeze up when things get good, someone who knows deep down that they deserve to live well. And when you reach that place internally, money is just a reflection of that. So, what happens now? You don't need to leave here and do anything drastic. You don't need to change your life overnight. You don't need to force anything. Because true change doesn't happen through doing, it happens through being. And all you need to do now is integrate it. Integrate the idea that you can prosper without suffering, that you can receive without guilt, that wealth is not something you pursue, but something you allow. And that permission begins today. It begins the moment you stop diminishing yourself, the moment you stop accepting less, the moment you finally look at yourself and acknowledge, "I deserve to live well." And it's not a merit that needs to be proven. It's not a merit that depends on external achievements. It's a merit that simply exists. Because you exist. And the more you connect with that, the more your external reality begins to reflect that inner truth. Because the world responds to your identity. It responds to how you position yourself. It responds to the energy you carry. And when you carry the energy of someone who is at peace with prosperity, who doesn't hold back, who doesn't sabotage themselves, who simply allows it, everything changes. Opportunities change. The people around you change. The way money flows changes. And best of all, you no longer need to fight for it. You simply become someone for whom prosperity comes naturally. And this is not magic. It's not luck. It's not privilege. It's identity. It's the silent decision to allow yourself to prosper, to allow yourself to receive, to allow yourself to live well. And that decision changes everything.